Welcome to Max's Models. I'm Max. Hey, Glue Troopers. We're going to start off talking about the work I did on the B25J and then some rather interesting stuff about it I dug up doing some research today. So the first thing I thought I would do is see if I could sort of shade and show some sun-baked wear on the fuselage. And I decided to use white paint to try and create obviously a light spot and then go over it with light shades of the uh, TS6 and even play with putting some TS5 in there to break up the monotone pattern. But I had little success, not that much. It worked a lot better on the wings than it worked on the fuselage. So obviously I'm going to have to do the airbrushing on the fuselage. Speaking of which, I got started priming and prepping the wings and getting them painted. And I used a generous amount of white paint over the primer. Well, actually, it was white primer over the gray primer to make a real bright area in the middle of the wing. Then dusted it over with the TS6 Tamiya lacquers until I got a slightly faded look in areas, just something to break up that monotone look. I kept playing with it with the TS6, the TS5, but I'm obviously going to have to do a lot of this with an airbrush. And then, of course, it was time to get started on the engines, and they are kits in themselves. I'm not entirely trusting the patterns they said in the book, but primarily they're saying you paint just about everything black, which I'm like, I know some of these, like the push rods, they should be aluminum or silver or something that you want them to have a little bit of pop. And I know the crankcase should be a gray. I know enough about airplane engines. And I decided, when I'm done with this, I'm going to go look at some real engines and see. But you build the entire front row with all the push rods and everything, separate pieces. And you got to be careful because they're not the same. The back row and the front row cylinders are different. Then once you build that, then you build the rear row and then you put them together. And it looks really nice, but that's where the fun's just beginning, because then you have to go add all of these rust-colored exhaust pipes, and you also have to put on what I believe are valve covers. I was wondering why they had those, push rods kind of going up into space, and because you got to put the valve covers on top of them. All right. So, and a lot of other little bits and pieces. So that'll look really good when I'm done, and definitely making this model a candidate for a diorama or something. And I also got to work on the nose guns. Now, I might pose it with the one of the forward doors open like they're servicing it, but we'll see. And these parts all went together without any argument at all. And I decided not to paint the machine guns just black. I'm using gunmetal on them. Also weathered the props. I wanted to give them that worn look. I'm not going for the new airplane look. I'm definitely going to go for some wear and tear. A lot of the stuff, standard techniques, paint the props black, then brush paint, just sort of dry brush on your silver aluminum color, and then maybe hit it again with a little black just to, fade it in there. And I haven't dull coated it yet, although technically I guess propellers probably should be semi-gloss. And then, of course, I got to put the tips on them. The parts are fitting fine. I found that Hull Red made a good base coat to make the rust color with. I tried putting a little buff over it, but it didn't look right. So I went back to the Hull Red, and then I'll dust that over. And I pulled apart the nose doors and started putting the chipping and stuff on there, and having a little paint knocked off. And you have to put the inside liner on these, and they're made to be open. So if you want to close them, you trim those tabs off, but not a problem. You get 4 runner trees that are repeats of each other, and you need most of the parts that are on there, which gives you an idea how, just how complicated these things get. But now the spinners or the nose, the prop hubs I've got them painted black because I'm going to go over them with a silver aluminum. But according to some pictures I found, the actual cap, the spinner itself for the squadron should be yellow, but I don't think that's engraved in stone, as we'll see in a minute. So getting a lot of the parts laid out, pre-painted, and getting the initial coats on them. And once I got to this point, I was like, you know what, this is a good point just to let everything harden overnight. And I'd been at it all morning and start doing some research. And here's where things get interesting. Now, I remember from when I was a kid, I've been out twice to the USS Alabama, which has a good, the first time I went out there, all the airplanes were just parked out in the open. Second time I went there, they'd finally built a building for them. Now, I remember the B-25 looking like the one on the box art, and I was like, is that my imagination, or did it really look like that? And to be honest, I wasn't really in love with the look, but started digging around, and I found some photographs of the airplane on people's Facebook pages and stuff. I'm using all these photos without anybody's permission. I doubt anyone cares. But I was correct. The B-25J they had out there, and it was a J model, did have the same artwork as is on the nose. And at first I wasn't sure from some of these pictures, it looked like just the green went right into the fuselage, but then I realized it's just because it had all flaked off and faded off. Some of the close-ups showed where the red and white trim was at, and it had the same Air Apache's logo on the fins. So I was like, okay, so this is from that squadron. And turns out this is the 498th Bomb Squadron, which is part of the 345th Bomb Group, and the 345th Bomb Group was called the Air Apaches. There's so many different airplanes that Apache had on the tail. And they were a bomber squadron medium, and they used a variety of B-25s, some with regular glass bombardier noses, then those were painted over and guns were put in, and then some of them with the later Strafer 8-gun nose. Quick little tangent. The B-25 they had out there actually had a couple of paint schemes on them. One of them was what they call the Bat's Head, and I think it was part of the same bomb group, but a different squadron. But that's what that blue thing was. Well, they decided that they wanted to make a Doolittle's Raider out of it, but it's the wrong model. Doolittle's people had the B models, and this was a J model. Now, a fairly quick way to spot a B-25B, which is the earlier model, of course, is the turret is further aft. It's behind the wing. There are no real dedicated waist gun positions, nor is there a tail gun position. To convert the airplane to look like a B model, they had to remove the side packet guns. They had to seal up the waist gun positions. They had to get rid of the tail gunner position and move the turret. But most notably, they had to graft on a greenhouse nose. But it's actually still a J model, although most of the core airplane is the same, so it makes a good stand-in. Fortunately, I was able to find some very nice photographs online of the airplane when it was still in the 498 Bomb Squadron markings. And the main thing I'm interested in is detailing the engine. Definitely the color palette that Hong Kong Models gives is very basic and not 100% accurate. But the other photos will help detail other little things. But it was just nice to see some really nice up-close photos of the B-25J in that paint scheme. And then, as I started looking for pictures of airplanes from the 498th Bomb Squadron during the Second World War, of course, they're all black and white, I was able to find several photos, including one that might be the exact airplane. It's tail number 115, and the bureau number on this one's 115, although the stripes on the Eagle's head are a little bit different. But they could have been repainted, or it could be the wrong airplane, or there's just no telling. You know, I don't have the assets to get the whole story, but a lot of times these airplanes went through multiple paint schemes. In fact, some of the airplanes were actually denuded of the olive drab and had more of a base aluminum look to it. Here's a painting by the late Roy Grinnell of one of the airplanes from the 498th with the bird's head on it. So a lot of great research material out there. One of the nice things about a common airplane like the B-25. But one of the things you'll notice atop of this B model, this is kind of the look I'm going to go for with there's just the usual wear and tear, but clearly I'm going to have to airbrush that in. I just wanted to take a little bit of a shortcut when I was painting the top of the wing so I didn't have a perfectly uniform base. I wanted it broken up a little bit before I begin, but clearly have my work cut out for me. And, weathering an airplane, it's the easiest thing in the world to overdo. But then you look at some of these photos and you're like, okay, and this was a working airplane too. So, and of course the insignia, fortunately being white, they always look bright in the photos, But, you got to get the decals on before you do it, because you need a little weathering, just a little bit of weathering over the decals too. Although, by looking at this photo, which might have been retouched, but like, oh, the insignia looks sterling, but the rest of the airplane looks worn. Who knows? It may actually be the case, but maybe they knew somebody was going to be taking pictures of them, went out and freshened up the markings, but I doubt it. I think in this case, probably insignia is just in a spot that doesn't get a lot of wear and tear, whereas I'm assuming that sitting out in the weather and also being close to those big warm engines with all that exhaust, there's probably reasons that paint peels off in certain areas faster than others. And of course, you have the canvas control surfaces, so they age differently, and all these things. They usually fade a little quicker, as this photo backs up. So I got and the B-25 does have fabric ailerons, but the flaps are metal. So something I have to look at. But the rudders, aren't as discolored, but then they don't sit facing the sun all day, which brings up the issue. The bottom's probably not as faded as the top. So, I'm just blathering. You guys know how to weather an airplane.
Hey guys, quick, well, I don't know if you can call it a fourth wall break in a video like this, but I just had a thought. It's an educated guess, but it's still a guess. I believe the reason that the airplane, which I think is the airplane in the 115, I think it is the same airplane that they use for the box art. I believe what might have happened is they actually went to the museum or found pictures of the airplane at the museum and said, hey, that's a really wild paint job. That'll be good for marketing. Let's use that as the box art and make the decals for it. I don't believe that they historically picked the airplane. I think they picked the airplane because they had a museum reference, which would explain why the stripes, the back of the feathering on the bird's head matches the museum plane, but not necessarily the actual airplane, if that was the only paint scheme like that the plane wore. And it is the same plane, if you follow my meaning here. And we all know that Tamiya went to, I believe it was Aberdeen, and took measurements of all the tanks and photos and stuff. They actually went to the museums, and it's not uncommon for model makers to go, and references are sometimes hard to find, but if a museum's supposed to know what it's doing, so okay, that's the way they painted it, that must be right. I would almost wager that the artwork is actually of the museum, based on the museum plane, not on the actual plane. I could be completely wrong in that. If you can find an airplane, if you can find the airplane 115 with that exact feathering pattern on it, I'd be impressed to see it, but I'll just about wager. Now, maybe the guys at the museum had some resources. I mean, again, I'm talking out, my side of my mouth here. I don't really know what I'm talking about. This is just an educated guess. So what say you? All right, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. And today there will be outtakes, because this is not the first time I recorded this message.
Okay, well, that's what we got for right now. You guys take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you later. As always, model on.
Camera speed.
Down production, take one.
Hey guys, quick fourth wall break here, or is this a fifth wall break? I don't know.
Take two.
I'm guessing, but it's an educated guess. Let's do that again.
Okay, that's a wrap.